Well, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says his party will force 2 votes next week on the government's planned carbon tax hike. The price per ton of carbon emissions is set to rise from $65 to $80 on April 1st. And there's growing opposition to the program as a whole, with several premiers calling on the Liberals to do away with it. Now, with us this morning is Laurie Turnbull, Associate Professor of Political Science at Dalhousie University. Laurie, good to see you. It's been a while.
It has. It's so good to see you, too.
All right, so let's get into this. So Poilievre says 2 votes will be held next week, one with a debate on Tuesday and a vote on Wednesday, and the other with a debate and vote on Thursday. Could these votes actually stop the carbon price increase from coming into effect?
I think it's unlikely because this is something that the NDP are going to support the Liberals on, I would think, because climate policy has been part of the confidence and supply agreement that they've had for the past 2 years, almost to the day. And so I think if the Liberals were to, it'd be different if the Liberals didn't have the votes to get it through, but I think they do. So the Conservatives will still have the opportunity in Parliament to say what they want to say about this, and they'll hit pretty hard. They'll take some sound clips from what happens in Parliament, and then they'll put those back out in the form of social media posts and ads and things like that. But I think probably the vote will go through, and this carbon hike, the carbon price hike will go through.
All right, so Newfoundland and Labrador's Premier, a Liberal, recently came out against the planned hike, asking for Prime Minister Trudeau to hold off. Here he said, actually, I respectfully request that you consider pausing the implementation at least until inflation stabilizes, interest rates lower, and related economic pressures on the cost of living sufficiently cool. So why has this turned into a battle between Ottawa and the provinces?
I think a lot of the premiers, and almost all of them, right, like 8 of 10 premiers have pushed back in some fashion and said, can we do something about this, whether it's a pause or a stop entirely? And I think, the premiers want to be able to show voters that they are listening on the affordability crisis. They want voters to know that this is not a provincial tax. And so, if you're getting really irritated about going to the pump and having to pay more to fill up, don't get angry at the premiers, right? Get angry at the federal government, because they're the one doing this to you. But I think there are broader concerns too among some of the premiers, not all of the premiers, but some are really pushing back on whether the federal government has the jurisdiction to do this in the first place. Scott Moe in Saskatchewan is saying he's not collecting the thing at all. And so there's a range, I think, among the premiers in terms of how far they're willing to go and what the nature of their opposition to the carbon tax is.
All right, so Laurie, if this is an attempt by the Liberals to appeal to younger, more climate-conscious voters, do you think it will be an effective strategy?
So I think, young voters are like everybody else in that you have more than one priority. And so, yes, of course, climate protection is a priority for younger voters, for all voters, right? Like this is a problem. Like, obviously, people can see, increased wildfires. We can see different aspects of climate change in our lives, and people will worry about that. The problem is there's also an affordability crisis. And the other problem is there's also a number of social programs like healthcare, like long-term care, that need attention. And there are ideas about pharmacare and dental care and how are we going to afford all of this stuff. And so I think what we're seeing here is a particular focus and a particular contrast. That's why the carbon price and the carbon tax, carbon rebate, whatever we want to call it, this is why this is such a compelling political story, because it contrasts the need to do something to protect the climate with the affordability crisis, because we can see that tax, that price every time we go to the gas station. But the Liberals are saying, no, it's a rebate. So that it actually helps you with the affordability crisis because you get the money back later and it's more than what you paid. But the Conservatives are obviously resonating a lot with their axe to tax messaging. And, a lot of people are saying, yeah, we don't want to pay more. We don't want to pay more at the pump. Give us a break somewhere. So I think the public is not totally of one mind about this, which is, again, why it's such an interesting story.
All right, Laurie, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, too. Take care.
All right, it's time.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.